Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Andy Hudson. It's Incentive Concepts Live. Welcome to my backyard, which is the pandemic studio for IC Live, going back 2 years from now. 2 years ago, we started this as a way to engage with our customers and our friends and our partners, and it's really taken off. And this I'm really excited about today. It's a beautiful spring day here in St. Louis. Hope it's beautiful where you are in your neck of the woods. And, you know, tomorrow is National Beer Day. So let's check out the beer that we got over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and pour myself a beer, courtesy of Center Ice Brewery, and get this party started. This is a Czech Pilsner. And so we're going to go ahead and pour that and get that started on this day before National Beer Day. So cheers to everybody. And with that, let's do our first viewer poll question, which we always like to do. And let's talk about your favorite beer. So what's your favorite barbecue dish and what's your favorite beer? Today is called Beer, Barbecue, and Broil King. So put in the chat your favorite barbecue dish and your favorite beer and let us hear what that is all about. And then also please say hello to, please welcome our beer cam, which we are going to be showing here in a minute. With that, I want to bring on our first guest. He is the owner and operator of Center Ice Brewery, and he's a good friend of mine through hockey here in St. Louis. Steve Albers. Steve, how are you, my friend?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to see you. Cheers, by the way. Happy Beers Day Eve or something like that, right?
Absolutely.
Good. Well, hey, my friend, tell me a little bit about yourself, Steve, and a little bit about Center Ice Brewery.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Albers. I'm an entrepreneur. In college, I realized that's what I wanted to do, and started homebrewing in college, and I fell in love with craft beer. Right around that time, InBev had taken over Anheuser-Busch, and a bunch of craft breweries were launching in St. Louis, and I fell in love with them, their stories, and homebrewing. And every night and weekend, I would homebrew as much as I could. When I first started homebrewing, 2010, fast forward 7 years. It took me 7 years. Every ounce of my being went into this project, and we opened Center Ice Brewery in the city of St. Louis. And for the past 5 years, this is what we've been doing, and I'm super excited to be here.
Okay, thanks, Steve. I just found out we're having a little live streaming issue here, so we may not be streaming quite yet. Let me just stay tuned because you might have to repeat this whole thing. All right, stay tuned, my friend. Hold on. Katie, you're going to need to check the embed that I have on the website. Shoot. Katie, can you hear me? Katie, use the live stream right to YouTube option instead of the multi-stream broadcast to make sure we're getting it up to the right place. That makes sense. Hang in there, folks. If you are watching, we appreciate you joining us. We're having a little technical difficulties on the back end here. So our producer, Katie, is going to work with everything, get this all figured out. Sorry, Steve.
It's all good.
Okay, Mark Brickler says he sees us, so we must be streaming again. So let's just give it a few minutes here and make sure people are catching up. There we go. Okay, good. It looks like we are back in action here. So let's get started again here, folks. Again, sorry if any technical difficulties, but we cracked open a beer. My good friend Steve Albers is here with us. Steve, you just introduced yourself. I'm getting messages here that we are still live. So we're good to go, my friend. So a little bit about Center Ice. Tell us a little bit more about what's going on with you in the world of beer and Center Ice right now.
Yeah, so when we opened our brewery, we had a small little bar right about a mile from Enterprise Center, home of the Blues. We had a 5-year lease, and our lease came up, and unfortunately we decided not to renew it. So we've moved out of our building, and we are actually at another brewery right now, actually brewing a beer today. So we are pivoting our business model a little bit into what's called nomadic brewing, to where you don't have a physical location. You actually kind of float from brewery to brewery and brew your beers. And so that's what we're doing right now.
Wonderful, wonderful. And we've got the beer cam up here. It's a little windy here in my backyard. What kind of beers are we looking at here on the beer cam?
So we just launched a new series called Beer League. You're seeing our first 2 beers are Hefeweizen and our Czech Pils. So the style or the series is based off of classic style beers. So we're not trying to do anything too crazy with these. We're just trying to pay homage to the style itself. Czech Pilsner is a classic classic Czech style lager. It's very clean, crisp. It's something that what I like to call a session beer, something you can have a couple of and really enjoy yourself on a beautiful day like today and barbecue.
Awesome.
The other one is a German Hefeweizen. So a lot of wheat characteristics, a lot of banana and clove. There's a lot of just kind of more complexity going on there. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much. And since we're a little bit with technical difficulties, having some problems, we're going to bring on our other guests here today. So let's go ahead and get everybody to turn their cameras on. And we've got my favorite co-host, our VP of sales, Kevin Hagan, and then the one and only, the guy who helped us win an award. No pressure, Jason, from Broil King, Jason Radford, our grillmaster. How's it going, boys?
We're doing great. We got lucky. I think the first time we did this, it snowed in April, and today in Buffalo, New York, it's a beautiful day. So kind of switched it up a little bit today. We're going to do more just recipes and fun cooking with beer recipes today, opposed to most of the people watching today are fantastic supporters of Broil King. Obviously, Andy's got one right behind him. But today is just more or less, we've all been cooped up, about some recipes, and, let's just drink beer and barbecue tomorrow instead of going to work. How's that sound?
That sounds good with me. Kevin, how about you? What's new? And does that sound good to you?
That sounds all right by me. Yeah, I just don't know if I can clear with the boss or not, but, we'll figure that out.
Sure. What's new with you anyway, my friend?
Not much, just catching up with things and keeping things going. We're looking forward to the barbecue season and getting some of these recipes. I'm interested to see what we've got going.
Okay. By the way, cheers to you, and cheers to Jason. Cheers to you.
Yes,
I made a beer for myself here today.
Oh my goodness.
Nice.
Okay.
Got a beer. I'm just gonna have one today, if you don't mind.
Okay, sounds good. I'm glad you got that going. Awesome, cool. All right, so folks, if you're watching, put in the chat your favorite type of beer and your favorite barbecue. Kevin, maybe you'll monitor the chat. Okay.
Yes.
Also, we are going to be giving away something today, courtesy of Broil King. So make sure to stay tuned in for that. But let's get to what we all been waiting for here. Jason, you got a huge table in front of you. Tell us what you got cooking for us.
So today we wanted to do 3 very simple recipes that contain beer and barbecue. Obviously, we've done the steaks, we've done the tomahawks, we've done the ribs, we've done a lot of traditional barbecue, but in a lot of cases, people don't actually think about beer as a pairing with barbecue and infusing the beer into the food. It's, beer and chicken wings, beer and pizza. But you know what? There's so many great flavors, especially with some of the, center ice brewers, the micro brewers, and everybody that are infusing flavor into a lot of this beer. Well, those flavors work fantastic with food. And our cameraman, Chris, give it a wave. Yeah, there you go. So cameraman Chris is actually going to kind of pan through the 3 recipes. So I've kind of done it a little bit different this time. So Chris, you want to show everybody? So what we're going to do is we started with, you can use a wheat beer or a Kolsch. I've used a Kolsch today. So it's a Kolsch marinated shrimp. The big recipe of the day is we've actually infused the Beauty. So it's called it's the IPA pork chop for today. So this is from Center Ice Brewing, the guys that we were just talking to there. I'm going to show you how to brine a steak or a pork chop in beer. And then we've got the stout steak. You don't want to get too crazy with a steak, but this is actually a reduction that is a glaze that can go over top of your steak to add a bit of an Asian infusion into your steak, just something a little bit different. So that's basically what we're going to do today, and show you guys very simple ways to infuse beer into your food. So which one do you want to start with, Andy?
I don't know. Kevin, you got a favorite steak, pork chop, or shrimp?
I got to say, let's go with the shrimp.
Okay, the shrimp. So Chris is going to bring the camera back over. Once again, I'm making this extremely easy for everybody. These are some nice jumbo shrimp. When you're grilling shrimp, what you want to look for is shell on, because actually what that's going to do is that's going to protect that shrimp from drying out when it's on the grill. And while I was grilling these, I was showing Chris, you could actually see moisture bubbling up in the shell, and then that protects the shrimp. And you're going to get a nice juicy shrimp when this is all done. And it actually protects you from burning the shrimp on the grill. So this is very easy. So we created a beerinade once again. So all I've got in here is I've got a little bit of garlic, ginger, orange zest, Dijon mustard, and cilantro. And all I'm going to do is take that wheat beer or ruby red, or Steve, I'm sure you could talk about some flavors in beers that would work well with that. And honestly, you mix this up. That's your marinade. You basically put your shrimp into a Ziploc bag just like this, and you're ready to go. So that is basically how easy that is. It's garlic, ginger, Dijon, cilantro, beer. You know, we're not reinventing the wheel in any way, shape, or form. And then on top of the shrimp, I created a yogurt glaze, which has got a lot of the similar flavors in it. And all I've done is I've taken a Greek yogurt, a whole orange zest, honey, cilantro, salt, pepper. And what you're going to do is just a little bit of the beer. You don't want to thin it out too much. And you move that and you mix that together, and you have an amazing drizzle or dip or whatever you want to do with the shrimp after the fact. So basically 4 or 5 ingredients, very simple. You're going to throw the shrimp onto the grill. You're going to grill them for a minute or two on each side. Don't overcook the shrimp because it will overcook. And you know, if you think you're slightly undercooked, you're usually done with shrimp because everybody overcooks it. You just get to the point where you think it's not quite cooked and now take it off. And so that's the best one. So
awesome.
now,
so hey, I got a quick question for you. What temperature are you cooking that on, and which grill would you recommend between the two behind you that you'd cook it on?
Basically, you know, as much as I love a pellet smoker and the fusion and flavors and various other things, when you're dealing with seafood or fish, you can overpower it with smoke. So this is high heat real fast. You don't want to dry out the shrimp. So basically I cook these at like 500 degrees for about 3 to 5 minutes on the Regal. So, you know, just nice and hot, ready to go. Away we go. Very easy. All you did was, you know, you take your little shrimp guy here, throw this onto the grill, and then we'll just throw this last one on that I had in the marinade. And we're just going to sit that on the grill and away you go. So very easy on that one. Great flavors, super easy to do. And once again, the best thing about cooking with beer is, you know, you buy 6, drink 5, use 1. So
that's, you know, perfect.
You're going to have a lot of fun. Now does anybody have any questions about that one? Cav, are we getting anything on the feed?
Let's look at Kevin and go to Kevin, and any chats there. And then I want to ask Steve a quick question, but Kevin, any chats coming on?
Yeah, so a few people have mentioned what they like to pair their beers with, and we've got smoked pulled pork with Guinness. That's a good one, it sounds like. Also, some other pulled pork and barbecue pork with a Civil Life Brown. I'm not sure what that beer is.
That's a St. Louis beer.
There you go. Yeah. Good old Burger and Budweiser's in here.
Sure.
A couple other pretty standards, and some good stuff. Those quite a few. Not to go through too many. I want to make sure we get all the recipes in, but some good combinations in there.
Good. And speaking of the recipes, we are going to make these recipes available to everyone on our blog next week. So we'll send it out to everybody who RSVP'd and anybody who enters our drawing, which we'll be having later, and it'll be on our blog as well. Steve, he was using a Kolsch there, Jay, for that shrimp recipe. Do you have a Kolsch in your lineup?
We actually do have one coming up in the beer league. So a German Kolsch style is a ton of fun to make. It is a clean, crisp ale that drinks like a lager. So the difference between an ale and a lager, ales are typically fruitier and citrusy on the lighter side. And on a lager, lagers are clean and have a lot less body and they're a lot more crisp. And so if you like a blonde ale and a American lager, if you put them side by side, they might have the same color. Ales can be typically cloudier and lagers can be typically more clear. But a Kolsch is kind of a hybrid of both. So it's a really cool style that goes all the way to Cologne, Germany.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that. I'm learning more about beer today than I've ever learned. So Jay, I tell you what, Kevin picked the shrimp. So Steve, what do you want him to work on next? The IPA pork chop? Probably, since that's your beer. What do you think?
That's his beer.
Let's go for it.
I doubt he's going anywhere else. Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, this is okay. Everyone's kind of struggling right now with the grocery prices. I don't think any of us can go more than a half an hour with someone talking about how bad the grocery bill has been lately. Well, you know what? Solve that. Buy pork. Okay. I went and bought all this morning. I think there's $100 in steak, $70 in shrimp, and $28 in pork. And I got 6 giant pork chops that are, the size of these ones. So, people tend to have this misnomer with pork where they're just like, I don't know, maybe their parents, wrecked it for them or something, that it's always dried out. It's got no flavor. It's a bad version of chicken or something. But pork is fantastic. One of my favorite things in a great restaurant is to get a big bone-in pork chop. If it's cooked properly and it's brined, you're going to trap that moisture in here. So what we're actually going to do, and Chris is going to grab the camera, I'm going to show you guys how to make a very, very simple pork brine. So it's actually going to look like this when it's done. Here's one that's been brining for most of the day. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1/4 cup of brown sugar, which has been in the sun. So now it's sitting in there. We got a 1/4 cup of salt. I've got some orange zest. I'm going to dump that into there. We're going to put a bay leaf and a little bit of garlic. That's very, very simple. We're going to pour 2 cups of water. You're going to diffuse the sugar and the salt really quickly, kind of stir it up a little bit, very easy. And then you're going to take, well, in this case, we're taking the center ice, the beauty, and an IPA. So IPA chop. And all I'm going to do, once again, I'm going to pour the beer right into the brine. Very, very simple. No rocket science here. And we're just going to mix that up. Give it a few minutes to let the brown sugar and the salt dissolve. And then all you're going to do is essentially just put it into a Ziploc bag. You can put it into a dish. You don't have to brine for overnight. You can if you want, but a good couple hours. What that's going to do, that's going to break down the enzymes in the pork. It's going to moisten the pork. And while you're cooking, it's going to allow the pork not to dry out as much. So all we're going to do is we're going to take this guy over here. Portable grill cam. Here's our little shrimp that's almost done. You can actually see in here the juice that's coming out of this, just because that shell is holding the flavor in there. And we're going to just take this guy out, and I can't even grab onto it. It's so soft now. And we're basically just going to put this pork chop on here. And that brine is going to, one, it's going to flavor the pork, because some people say pork is bland. 2, it's going to keep that pork chop from drying out. So very simple. Well,
so how long do you marinate that for? Overnight, you think?
You can do overnight. Usually I only do a couple hours before cooking. And then the second part, which you can see on top of this is actually the IPA infused onions and apples. So all you do, you slice up your onions and apples, you dump the beer into here. I actually used a little too much. I should have saved a little bit in there. But all you're going to do is, I got some in here. You're just going to dump this in here. And all that is onion, apple, little salt and pepper. And what you're going to do is just put this into your side burner, or in this case, I'm going to put it into the pellet smoker and just let that reduce. And if Chris comes over here, you can see here's some that are reduced in here right now, and they all go golden brown with a nice smoky flavor to it. And basically you have IPA reduced onions and apples. And it's just fantastic topping on top of the pork. Once again, super, super simple. Nothing that any of us can't do, and away you go. So, that is one of my, everyone always say, hey, Jay, can you make steak? And a lot of times, yeah, okay, I can cook a steak. I've done it a few times. But you know what, where most people get blown away is when I cook them a big, thick bone-in pork chop. They go, holy crap, I didn't realize pork could taste that way. And you know what, when you're having 8 or 9 people over, it's a much more cost-effective, and if you can cook it, well, and do something different, and you say, hey, I've got a beer-infused pork chop, and everyone's like, pork chop? Like, what are you talking about? Well, do you drink beer with ribs? Everyone goes, yeah, all the time. Well, same animal. So, infuse that flavor, have a little fun with it. So that is personally, out of all these dishes today, that is actually my favorite.
Okay.
And it's the one that's the most showstopper for newcomers to pork chops and barbecue and brining.
And you said
everyone,
you said same animal, literally same animal. So
same
that's
animal.
that is good.
Literally the same animal.
But
Yeah.
you made that one with Steve's IPA there. Steve, can you tell us a little bit about that actual IPA? Because I'm a big IPA fan.
That was a good one. I enjoyed that.
Thank you very much for the kind words. That is a brut IPA. So brut meaning dry. In the brewing process, we make sure there's no residual sugar. And so when we were designing the recipe, we were inspired that it was a very dry beer. And so we were inspired by champagne and mimosas. And so that's where the orange zest idea came from. Mm-hmm. And so what we've done is we've also selected 2 hops, El Dorado and Azaka. Those 2 hops have a lot of citrus forward character. And so to amplify that character, we actually zest oranges by hand the day of the brew and put that directly in the boil. And so those characteristics of orange zest and citrus are really coming from obviously the orange, but also the hops. And what you'll find in this beer is to back into it, we didn't want this beer to be overly bitter. We wanted mostly flavor and aroma. So there's almost no bitterness here. There's I think the IBUs, which is how we measure bitterness on beer. The scale is from 0 to 100. I think the IBUs here are probably in the 30s, which is pretty low for an IPA. Okay. And so for something like this, whenever we're doing food, we either like to go complementary or contrast. And here, we're going complementary. And I wish I was there. And I think you said Buffalo. It looks incredible.
Just jump on a plane. We'll all meet in Buffalo and we'll eat a little something here. Now, Kevin, you've been watching, and I know you've had that small beer for you. When you and Sherry have a brunch, she can have a mimosa, and it sounds like we can have an IPA.
Sounds perfect.
All right. What? Any observations from you, Kevin, before we move to this last recipe?
No, I just, it's funny. And Jay and I have cooked out on a few tailgates together, but pork is it's definitely a great item to have. Everybody wants a steak, but pork kind of blows people away when you do it right. And Jason really knows what he's doing. So I recommend that one heavily.
Okay, for sure. Now, Jay, let's get started on that steak. And while you're doing that, why don't you give us a little spiel about Broil King and what makes Broil King so unique?
Well, perfect segue, Andy. Thank you. It's like we've done this before, but Broil King is known as the steak grilling machine. We're known as we run very hot. They're very efficient grills. Right now, this thing's sitting at well over 400 degrees. I've got it on medium. I've just turned it up because we're going to put a steak on it. But you know what? We are made in North America. Both grills are. This grill here is proudly made in the U.S. in Huntington, Indiana. We've made it through this whole challenge with the pandemic of staffing and inventory challenges. And a lot of the nice things now is we're back up and rolling. We've got plenty of inventory for our programs. I know Kevin and his sales team have done a fantastic job of listing the Broil King product and in many of the top programs that IC is involved with. And, it's just great to see that, we made it through this challenging time. We continue to manufacture in North America. We've actually tooled up a second facility in Dixon, Tennessee, where we weren't fully utilizing that whole facility. And now we have actually tooled that up to keep up with this demand that we're seeing with people in their backyards. We're not seeing any downtrend of people, people realize that, hey, as much as the pandemic wasn't that much fun, obviously, but people utilize their homes, they utilize their backyards, and they, brought people together. And that thing that brings them together is grilling and drinking. So this is a wonderful combination that we're focusing on today. And, Kev, do you have anything to add to let's call it the industry talk with the Broil King brand at the moment?
Yeah, Jay. So like you said, I think everybody's kind of been focused on working to get outside and getting away for a little bit. Nobody, some people are going out to restaurants and so forth, but there's still a lot of people that want to stay home and do things at home and with their family. And this is just a great way of doing it. And we definitely have had some issues with some inventory and just some, as with everybody and everywhere, but things have really cleaned up well with Broil King. I know you guys have kind of take the line down a little bit to focus on what is necessarily and what can be done in good quantity. So I think that we're in a really good position here to get into the grilling season coming up and get some products out there at all different
the
price
introduction
points.
of our new Crown series as well. So I know, Kev,
Right.
you guys have been profiling in that. It's kind of a mid-range, great mid-range grill that we brought out. It kind of launched halfway through last year. This is its full year. That's the one we tooled up in our Dixon, Tennessee facility. And that facility has been producing these things like it's going out of style. So list away and I'll make sure we ship away. So the Crown series is fantastic.
Cool. But before you start cooking that steak, I want to just show you over here. We do have a nice giveaway package here, courtesy of Broil King. So we got an Imperial grill set, one of the Broil King aprons, and then a nice vest here. So go to incentiveconcepts.com/beer-and-bbq. So
and Andy, don't forget, we're donating. I didn't have the Broil King logo here, but we are going to donate a cooler as well for today. So to go with the beer part of it.
Thank you.
There'll be a vintage cooler for today as well. But last but not least, steak. We love it. Chris, might as well come on over. So steak is always generally, I'm sorry, this one's been sitting a little bit, but once again, just fantastic, perfect medium rare. But I've kind of taken a bit of a beer Asian infusion into steak. You don't want to kill the flavor of steak. You don't want to over marinate. You don't want to get too carried away with it. So all we're going to do is literally take a wonderful steak. And once again, a little bit of steak school again. You want to look for marbling, this white fleck that's inside this steak. That's what you want to look for. That's what's going to melt inside this steak. That's what's going to give you that tenderness and that flavor that you're looking for. The steak itself, we're going to get really complicated. We're going to do olive oil, salt, and don't go light on the salt. Okay, go heavy on the salt. Half of it's going to fall off when it hits the grill anyway. And pepper. And here's a little trick. When you go to those steakhouses and you get that crust on your steak, what that is, it's actually garlic powder. So you put a little garlic powder on the steak. That's going to give you that crust. That's all we're going to do to the steak. What we're going to do to infuse the beer is you can take a stout. And Steve, you can educate us on stout once I throw this steak onto the grill. All I've done here is maple syrup and hoisin sauce, actually. It's like a thick soy sauce, giving that Asian flavor with some ginger and garlic. I'm going to add a little bit of stout. And all I'm going to do is put this on the grill, let it reduce into this nice thick glaze. And what we're going to do is, here's a finished glaze here. And you guys can see it's got this nice, icky, sticky, gooey consistency. And all I'm going to do is you can either cut the steak and drizzle it on with a little bit of sesame and some scallions, or you can just kind of put it on top of the steak and let everybody kind of use it as a dipping sauce. But it's just it's a different way with a bit of an Asian infusion flavor mixed with an Irish stout. So we're kind of going all over the place here. But cameraman Chris here has been smelling that, and by far it's his favorite thing that we've cooked today. He said he's never had a steak taste like that before. It's just so different, and it throws people off. Once again, brining your pork chop in beer, using a wheat beer with fish or shrimp. Once again, we're just kind of getting a little outside the box, but at the end of the day, it's actually pretty simple stuff.
Yep. So you got a New York strip, you got an Irish stout, and you've got an Asian hoisin sauce. So you're covering lots of different continents.
We're going everywhere. We got Chinese New Year wrapped into St. Patty's Day. So, we're good. We're good. It's back-to-back months. So, so very simple, garnished well. Also, if you just want to do an appetizer, it's a really good one as well. Slice the steak up, put some toothpicks, drizzle the reduction on top of it, and it's just a great appetizer as well. Pretty much that sauce would taste good on anything. So you can put it on steak, chicken, pork, whatever. It would taste good on plastic. So
well, we won't be eating plastic. I want to ask Kevin one more question before we wrap up here. And Kevin, what is it like having a brand like Broil King in a company's employee recognition program?
A great question. I think it's awesome. I mean, you have not only the grills, but the accessories that go with it. So no matter what type of points you have or redemptions that you can make, you can choose a lot of different products. Maybe the company picks one and puts it outside of the warehouse so that the company can go outside and cook lunch or cook a breakfast or something in the morning. It's so versatile, and everybody always wants a new grill, but nobody really wants to go out and buy one at Cass. So use your points to redeem for grills and, cook some new different items like this and use these recipes.
Okay, cool. And Steve, one last comment for you. We mentioned the Murphy's Stout there, the Irish. Do you have a stout or a porter that you'd like to just 30 seconds tell us a little bit about?
Yeah, we are launching barrel aged stouts. And
Okay.
so we'll take a stout that is typically higher in alcohol, 9 or 10%, and then we will age it in different types of barrels. So Buffalo Trace bourbon barrels, Scotch barrels. Sorry, there is a cat here, and I'm sure this cat is cracking me up. I'm trying to stay focused. But we are going to be launching a new line of barrel aged stouts here, hopefully this summer and later this year.
Okay, awesome. Where can people go to learn more about your brewery, Steve?
Yeah, so right now, so all the social media handles, Facebook, Insta, Twitter, our website, sunrisebrewery.com. We're going to have a lot of updates coming here soon as we're going through some transitions. So,
okay. Well, I really appreciate you joining us. And Jason, as always, my friend, the Grillmaster, any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
Just once again, it's springtime. Remember, grills do require cleaning. So, if you haven't touched it in a long time, please, take the cover off. Please put a cover on it, first of all. Give it a good clean. You don't want last year's food this year. Take a shot back, clean it out. Just be careful starting it. Bugs do like the smell of propane. So a little bit of safety maintenance. And past that, we just, we really enjoy doing this. You can tell the passion is the food. This is the tool to get you to here. But once again, to all of our customers that are on here today, thank you very much for supporting the Broil King brand, and look forward to maybe we'll do another tailgate one this fall. Andy, go
all
Bills!
Right.
Maybe Kevin and I live from the Bills Stadium.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, that sounds like a good plan to me.
All right, let's do that one. I like that. Yeah.
All right. So viewers, make sure to tune into our blog next week because we are going to put the recipes for this. They're very simple recipes. But we used a wheat beer here. We used an IPA. We used a stout or a porter. So make sure to gear up for that. Tomorrow is National Beer Day. So if you're at work and you can't have a beer right now, crack one open this afternoon or definitely tomorrow on National Beer Day. And then next month on May 12th, we are going live from the Escalade Sports Factory in Evansville, Indiana on May 12th. So make sure to tune in for that. Go to incentiveconcepts.com/live. One last reminder to enter our drawing for this amazing gift set over here, incentiveconcepts.com/beer and BBQ. And we'll choose one winner later today for that. So with that, we're going to close up here, boys. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Steve. And of course, Jay, my friend, the Grillmaster. Everybody have a great, everybody have a great day. Happy grilling and happy National Beer Day. Take care, folks.
Cheers.
See you later.